starting. A big welcome to all of you. It's great to have so many people and so many people who want to hear about this very inspiring school, perhaps for the first time, or for those who are already friends of GHIS, to have an update about the school at this really challenging time. So Givat Chaviva International School, GHIS, was founded 5 years ago in Israel and is now able to bring together more than 150 Jewish and Arab Israeli high school youth, as well as students from over 30 countries worldwide. The school admits students on a need-blind basis for 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. They learn and live together in a high-performing international baccalaureate program with an emphasis on conflict resolution. All of these idealistic young people have chosen an academic community that encourages them to explore, and embrace both their differences and their shared humanity. Many of them will, in the near future, serve as leaders in their neighborhoods, nations, and the world. Thanks to a very committed faculty and very hardworking GHIS student graduates, graduates have been admitted, some on full scholarships, we're happy to say, to top-ranked universities, including Duke, Columbia, Tulane, École Polytechnique de Lausanne, and Tel Aviv University. Moshe, I'm passing the baton.
Okay, so I would like to cover some housekeeping comments and then start with the program. So the goal of our Zoom today is to hear and learn from GHIS students in these difficult times. This is not a debate or a political discussion. We all share in pain of the recent events. But today, we want to be in touch with a ray of hope by listening to the students of GHIS. We ask you to respect this goal. Our event will last 1 hour, and we will hear from Nurit, the executive director and co-founder of GHIS, who will give us some short update. Yuval, the head of GHIS School, will lead the student panel. After the panel, there will be a short Q&A. Again, I stress that it's not a forum for debate or political discussion. If you have a question, please raise a hand. I know that you all know Zoom very well. It's under the icon of the reaction of the bottom of the video, or use a chat area to message Yuval or Nurit, or whatever you do, Nurit and the team will find you. Lauren will close the meeting today. The event, as Nurit mentioned, is recorded, so we can share it with other invitees that couldn't make it today. There will be a link popping up once in a while in the chat room in case you so wish to donate at this minute. If you have any technical issue, which I'm sure you want, please call or text Lauren or myself and we'll try to connect you. In closing, I want to leave you all with a quote that spoke to me lately. Pessimism is of the mind. Optimism is of the will. And now, it's my pleasure to introduce Nurit Gary, the executive director and the co-founder of GHIS, who Fegi and I first met in the fall of 2018.
Thank you very much, Fegi and Moshe, for your introduction, and Fegi, Moshe, and Lauren for being with us for as long as GHIS has been around and believing in this vision and being with us when it was only an idea. So much has passed since, and you've met so many of our students through Zoom. You've met me so many times. and heard so many different stages of the story. But I want to start by sharing what we're going through now, which is probably a little bit different than anything any of you heard from me in the last 5 years. And then I will pass it to Yuval, who will lead. We have a group of students, and Hannah, who is one of our top staff faculty, and she is an Ola Chadasha to Israel from the United States, and she will bring her perspective, which is very interesting. But just to share that these are difficult days in Israel, and I'm sure it's a difficult time for any human being in the world who cares about people. And we as a school that cares about humans and human rights and about shared living are going through challenging times. And the brave young people who chose to stay at GHIS and chose to come back here. And the graduates of their school, we have 2 of them with us, who are still connected to the school and still telling us that our job is to carry on the vision of the school. That's what takes me out of bed every morning. Because if I would only look at the news like we do all the time, I could choose if I want to be sad, depressed, or angry. But when I wake up in the morning and I see these young people, I know, and I want you hopefully to be with me to know that there is hope. Because our job is to connect the Jews and Arabs in Israel and to connect them to some international friends and make sure that no matter who the external people are, and whether it's a terror organization or some other bad things that are happening around the world, these young people are committed every day, all the time, to make the world a better place. And someone just told us earlier this week, our generation, we failed, but your generation, Hussein, Noga, Salma, Noam, it's in your hands to make sure that your generation brings a different message to the world. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Moshe Fegi, Lauren, Barbara, and Rob for making this event happen. And I promise every one of you that took the hour this morning that when you will hear the students, and Hannah and Yuval, of course, you will not regret waking up and having a little bit of hope. And hopefully you will stay with us, stay in touch with us way after the call. So Yuval, on to you. And I will be the timekeeper. So I might at some stage tell you that your time is up. And whoever wants to ask questions later will have to unmute. We're keeping everybody on mute.
Shalom, everyone. It's a privilege to be here, and thanks for joining. I want to thank everyone for thinking about GHIS and for listening to us today. With us, as Nurit just said, are several students. We have Noga, Hussein, Noam, Salma. Maybe Resida will also join. And we have Hannah, my colleague. And we've been working together, Hannah, Nurit, me, and Claire, for several years on this project. Before we go on to listening to the students, I just want to say that when we started it, I think that none of us felt that the relevancy of what we do would be so important and so to the point of what's happening in the country. And in the 5 last years, this has been one of the key issues in public debate and key issues in political debate, and something that is really shaping in our development as a society. And you can hear it throughout all of the media channels. You can hear it in the salons. You can hear it in the streets. People are talking about Israeli society. People are talking about the connections between Jews and Arabs. People are talking about the conflicts, and obviously at these very, very challenging times, this is a very, very important issue. So I would like at this time to present the students and graduates, and I would like to ask them to present themselves, who you are, where are you from, and how did you end up at GHIS. We'll start with Noga, then Hussein, then Salma, then Noam. Noga, please go ahead.
And Hannah.
And Hannah.
Hi, my name is Noga and I am 19, and it's really nice to meet all of you. And I'm seeing also some faces that I haven't seen in a while, so it's nice to see you guys too. So I'm from Israel. I'm from Givat Ada, which is where I am now. But it hasn't been that way for long. I lived most of my life outside of Israel. I lived in India for 4 years and then in Ghana for 7. And then when I came back to Israel, I looked for an IB school, and I'm lucky I found this one. Really, I mean that. And I graduated in 2022, so 1 year ago. And since then, I went for a gap year in the Jewish Agency, and I was in France, in the south of France, in Nice, for a year. I worked with the Jewish community there. I just came back in August, and I'm waiting for my army service. And until then, I'm working in a coffee shop.
And Noga.
And volunteering at the school.
And having a lot of fun working with Nurit and Yardena and Claire.
Damn it.
Okay, Hussein.
Okay, so I'm Hussein. I'm a graduate from Noga's cohort also. We graduated about 2 years ago now. No, a year and a half actually. Time flies so fast. I'm Israeli. I'm Arab from the Arab community in Israel, and the way I came to GHS is a bit unique, to say the least. I was looking for a unique experience in Israel to study with Jewish students, since it's not very widespread for an Arab student to study in a Jewish school, or an international school even, since they are even rarer. So I found GHIS, and I'm very glad that I did. And currently, I'm in Switzerland, in Lausanne, studying at the EPFL. I'm doing electrical engineering.
Thanks, Hussein, and good luck. It's not an easy track. Salma, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here. Yeah, my name is Salma. I'm a DP1 student, so an 11th grader or a junior in high school. And I'm also from the Arab community here in Israel, and I'm from a city called Taibeh. And I've lived in the US for 7 years. That's where the accent's from. And yeah, I basically found out about the school from a part-time teacher at my old middle school. She was, or she still is, the house parent here. Her name is Gigi. And she was telling me about this school. It's an IB school, and it's really interesting. And she thought that it would fit my personality. And I was so excited to apply. And then when I was accepted, I was really excited to come here and excited for the experience, really. Thank you.
Thanks, Salma. Noam?
Hello, everyone. Really nice to see you guys and to be here. My name is Noam. I'm 16 and a half, 11th grade as well, in the same age as Salma. I live in Israel for my whole life. I live in a kibbutz, a small kibbutz very close to the school, 10 minutes away. And yeah, I'm really lucky to be at this school and to meet those people. And yeah.
Thanks, Noam. Is Resida with us?
Hello,
Resida?
can you hear me?
We
Come on.
Can you hear us, Resida?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi. Please introduce
Hello.
yourself.
Hello everyone. My name is Rosita Sarno. I am from Liberia.
Yeah.
Checking this.
I'll just say that Rosita is in Liberia. She's one of our international students, and we asked her to join us because we thought it will be very interesting to hear the her feeling about being found in this war as an African student and how she feels being back home and studying from afar. I hope she will be able to connect to a normal internet. She has a problem there, but we will try.
Okay. And meanwhile, I want to ask Hannah to introduce herself.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Hannah. I am the IBDP coordinator, which is just a super fancy way of saying academic director or curriculum coordinator here at GHIS. I also had the honor of teaching Noga and Hussein together, and I currently teach Rosita and Salma. I don't teach Noam, but we hang out sometimes, so it's all cool. I was born and raised in the DC metro area. I went to Elon University in North Carolina for both my bachelor's and my master's degrees. And essentially the moment I finished my bachelor's degree, I came to Israel on a Masa program. I lived and worked in a city called Rehovot, which is about 20 minutes south of Tel Aviv. And about halfway through that experience, I realized I really love Israel and I really love teaching, but I don't love the national curriculum so much. And so I started looking for other opportunities and eventually found GHIS. Went home from that program and within 2 months had come back with 3 suitcases, was in the Giva, and I never left.
Thanks, Hannah. And once Rosita checks in again, if we have a stable connection, we'll be glad to hear her as well. Okay, so here's my first question to you, students, graduates, and Hannah. In the past several weeks, I think it's okay to say, or it's based on evidence to say that there is an increased polarization between Jews and Arabs in the country. And it is part of how population here in Israel perceives the war, the origins, and what comes next. And I want to ask you on your perspective towards this, and if your presence at school and your experience have made you think differently or approach this issue differently. And please feel free to just share your opinions.
I can start.
Please do.
At least for me, it's very shocking, the situation. It's very tough, it's very stressful. And I was at home when it happened. We were all at home. We were on Sukkot vacation, which is a holiday, a Jewish holiday. And yeah, I was really in shock. I focused mainly on the, let's say, the Jewish Israeli side of the story, the Israeli side. But when I came to school, which was not an easy choice, I got to talk with my friends, my Arab friends. And we didn't necessarily talk about politics, but like one of my friends said to me, in this case, I can't choose sides. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I think. And that made me look at the situation like, wait, whoa. I started to imagine how conflicted the Arab Israelis in Israel are right now. Because on one hand, they are in Israel, they live here, they're sad about the situation, but on the other hand, in Gaza, also people are dying, and it made me also look about the other side with all the difficulty there is. So it was really eye-opening for me every time, again and again. And yeah, it made me look at a broader picture.
Thanks, Noam. Who else wants to check in
I
on
can
that,
share my thoughts also.
please.
So I've been in Switzerland for the past 2 months, so I wasn't in the country when this happened. But I can still say that it's still very stressful for me sometimes here. I recently deleted Instagram and all my social medias because I felt that it's very toxic, and I've only been getting my information from news sources, BBC, Israeli news channels. It's very hard. I mean, the situation in Israel and in the area is very worrying. Speaking about what's happening about what's been happening in the past 3 weeks, me personally, I decided not to take sides. I mean, I saw everybody taking sides on social media, either going being is, as Yuval said, being very polarized, choosing one side over the other. But me, I think, and as a GHIS graduate, I prefer not to take sides. I think it became a bit cliche to say, but I'm with the human side. So a side that condemns any civilians, any innocent people getting harmed. We lived through the experience of the war in 2021 in GHIS, but I feel like this one is like no other conflict that I at least have lived through. And even though I'm not in the country, it's very tough. I'm trying to follow what's happening. I'm trying to keep in touch with my friends here in Israel, with my parents. I think it's a different kind of stress when you're just following everything from afar. But my experience in GHIS surely has helped me kind of have the right mindset about what's happening, and always always keeping hope. That's the main thing. Always having hope, because there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And yeah, I mean,
Thanks,
I'll let
Jose.
the stage for somebody else.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
I can go next.
Please do.
So I also was very stressed and frustrated. And I also deleted all social media apps, and I also tried not to look at the news, and not look at the pictures or videos, because it wasn't making me feel any better. And it was only adding on to the pile of frustration that I was already feeling. And it kind of made me lose hope. The situation made me lose hope for a better future, for a peace. And that I still kind of feel a loss of hope, but it has gotten so much better since we came back here. Because to be able to see like my Arab friends and my Israeli friends and my international friends all together, and we're all the same people, and it's kind of beautiful how simple it is. Like we're all teenagers, you know? We have the same hobbies and the same fears and the same struggles, and we're all humans. Kind of like what Hussein said, I stand with humanity, and I think it's something so beautiful. And I really got connected with it again when we came back here. And I think that's what made me gain a bit more hope that we can have a better future. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Salma. I'm wondering, or I see Noga, you want to respond?
Very shortly, yes.
Please do.
I relate a little bit to every single thing that you guys said, Salma and Hussein and Noam. And Noam, I know how you felt coming back to GHIS and feeling like not knowing how to feel coming back, because Hussein and I felt the same thing coming back in May 2021, where there was also another war, and of course not like this one, but I felt like a sense of insecurity or not knowing how to deal with coming back and seeing my friends that I had known for a whole year, but who were hurt just like I am and grieving just like I am, but just maybe for also the same people and also different people. You know, everybody knows different people that they're grieving for, and exactly with that point, I want to come to this this catastrophe that has happened in the last few weeks, because I feel like from May 2021 to October 2023, we've grown a little bit more, Hussein and I, and we still feel worried for the people that we know, and we still grieve for people that we know. But one thing that GHIS has made me see always is that everybody grieves. And that's the sad part, but there's unity in that the people that we lose, and I know some people who aren't here anymore, but I also know that everybody knows people who aren't here anymore, no matter if you're Jewish or Arab or whatever. And it's sad, and we deal with that grief, but we sort of know that we can deal with it together. That makes sense. Doesn't make it easier, but you carry it together.
Thanks, Noga. And I want to thank you for being honest, all of you, and for sharing these thoughts. And, you know, at these times, whenever I open a newspaper channel, an online newspaper, or I see relatively very little TV, I think that the main thing that I receive is more connected to stereotypes than anything else. The discourse is quite flattened, and there's nothing, no nuances, and there's nothing that goes deeper. And I wonder, how do you feel about stereotypes of the other before you came here to GHIS, and now that you know the people? Did it make you change your mind, or did it make you understand things differently?
Yuval, can I start on this one?
Please do.
I think this is one of the biggest kind of reflection points in my journey since my Aliyah. So I grew up in a very Jewish area, not just a Jewish area, but I had Jewish friends. I went to Hebrew school, Jewish youth group, Jewish summer camp. You know, I was part of the conservative movement. I did, you know, the Jewish thing. And so my Aliyah is very different than the typical Aliyah that people make when they're 22, 23 years old. I didn't move to Tel Aviv or Netanya or Beersheba and go partying and clubbing and that sort of thing. I came to work, and I came to a school of people who were coming from all different places together. And I was the youngest. I was 22 years old when I came to work here. And the first real friend my age that I made, her name is Hiba. And she's only a couple years older than me, and she's from the village Arara, which is 10 minutes down the road. And Hiba and I couldn't be any more different from each other. But somehow we just connected on an internal level. And that friendship has opened me to an entire different side of Israel and Israeli society and communities here that I was never exposed to as a young Jewish person living in the United States or participating in all the youth group movements. And I spend just as much time in the villages, the Arab villages and cities, as I do in the Jewish villages and cities. And I spend time in the West Bank in areas that are Palestinian, because I have the privilege of doing that with an American passport. And I spend time in, you know, Tel Aviv and Haifa and things like that. And to see, you know, a lot of my network of friends and acquaintances still are in the United States. And to see people choosing sides and portraying this as a black and white sort of issue is one of the biggest challenges. But the question is, how do you reach out to people who are not engaged, who don't actually have that personal connection on the ground? And several people have reached out to me over the past few weeks, maybe that I was close to, maybe that I wasn't. And they said, you know, how can we help? How can we help? And at the end of the day, on the ground, there's not much as individuals we can do. And one of the things that I keep reminding people is, remember that everybody is suffering, everybody is mourning together. And, it doesn't come from one side or the other. We're all being touched and we're all in pain. And the only way for us to move forward to a better future is for us to grow through that pain together and to use it as the roots of our path forward into, a more sustainable and peaceful future.
Thanks, Anna. And Resida, are you here with us?
Hey, can you guys hear me even a bit clearly?
Well, I hear you better. I hope everyone hears you better as well. So let's try. Please introduce yourself shortly and also maybe refer to what makes this experience for you worthwhile.
Okay. Hello everyone. Sorry for the last time. My name is Resida Sarno. I am from Liberia, West Africa. HIS. I got to know JHIS through a national coordinator. His name is Same Cole. They pick students from the high schools who go through an exam, and then we get nominated to apply to JHIS. So far, it has been a real life transforming experience for me because it's actually my first time traveling and being with people from different cultures, as I think everyone else has said that. And it was like really a great experience for me. Okay, back to when it happened on Saturday. I have never been in a situation like this before. And I also did not really know about the Jewish and Arab conflict until I got to Israel. So I didn't know about the wars. I didn't know about the 2021 thing. I didn't know nothing about it. So my country had wars, wars for 14 years before, but that was way before I was born. So I don't know anything about the wars. But luckily for me, when I heard the sirens, because we have done drills before, I knew where to go. But at that point in time, I was still confused. I didn't even know how I got to the bomb shelter. And a lot of thoughts ran through my mind, and I couldn't stop thinking about how the situation was going to change in Israel, how the situation was going to change in our school. I knew that the country was now going to be very, very much intense, even if this was going to go for a few days, even if this was going to go for a week, I don't know. But I knew that the situation was going to get very much intense for Arabs living in Israel and Jews living in Israel. So it was just something that kept playing on my mind, and I was like, how is it going to be like after this and then we get back to school? What I saw when I came back home, because I came back home before most of our students went back, I got a call from my roommates. I actually have Jewish and Arab roommates. I got a call from both of them, and we all started having this conversation about what is happening. And that just gave me hope, as Selma said, because these are two people. I know this is not the entire country. This is not Gaza. This is not like Israel, but these are two people from both sides that are just worried and scared that this is happening and we don't know how long it's going to take. We're just worrying about graduation and we really want to have prom and then we really want to have fun together. And oh my God, we see that you're not going to be here for the Halloween party. These are people that are all scared and just trying to express their fear to each other. So it's not about sides, it's about this is happening to everyone. Everyone have lost so much. Everyone is so scared, and we're just trying to depend on each other as a community, as an international community, as a community that supports peace. We're just trying to depend on each other to stay calm and stay hopeful. And yeah, it's just a beautiful thing to see. Mm-hmm. So it was beautiful to me.
Thanks for
that conversation.
Maybe this stage, I'd like to share that when the war began, the first thing that happened is that the schooling system closed down. So for the first 2 weeks of the war, we are now at the 4th week of the war. Schools didn't work, or almost all schools didn't work. but we made a decision to transition into online teaching and learning quite immediately. So on Monday, the 9th, we already worked online. And throughout the first 2 weeks, we learned more about the event, and we decided to encourage most of our international students to travel back home for their own safety and security. We couldn't bring the local students back to campus yet. We didn't have confirmation from the Ministry of Education. Only last week, which was the 3rd week of the war, we could bring in small groups of students, and only last night we could bring all of the local students and the international students that are in the country. Something like about between 80 to 90 students are on campus now. Maybe before we move on, I'd just like to share that for some reason we started the school in 2018, and ever since, every single year was very, very challenging. We ended up with COVID on our 2nd year, and then the May 21 violent rout between Israel and Gaza, which was also very, very violent here within Israel. And from then, several other rounds, and now this war. So for unfortunate reasons, we are very accustomed to changing the modes of teaching and learning in very, very quick, with quick responses. And it's a very important quality of the school, because this is how we maintain the international aspect and the local aspect. We hold them together even when we are unable to meet physically for a while.
Yuval, I promised you to be the timekeeper.
Yeah. Okay.
So we really need to move to question.
One last round, maybe for now. And here's the question. This is a very radical time in Israel, and it might be here for some time. Why is it important at all to have shared society education now? Why is it important to have GHIS now, in your opinion?
You have time for short answers. One sentence.
I can answer shortly. I feel like I have never felt in my lifetime this tear between the Jews and Arabs in Israel. I feel like something happened that it's like really, really gonna change the dynamics in Israel. But we're the future. And if we don't get up now and make connections and know that it is possible, if we don't do it now, I feel like we could never come back to a real society that lives together in a shared society. And we're the future. So if we believe that, and if we do that in the school like we do now, I hope and I believe that we can change the future.
Thanks, Noam.
Can I answer shortly?
Please do.
Adding up to what Noam said, as I said before, when I saw the connection between when I was a part of the discussion between my Jewish and Arab roommate, what came to my mind was like, this is where hope is. This is where, if anything is going to change, a shared society is where it's going to start. And I feel like that is the significance of having it right now, hearing from both sides and not just being in the circle and in your individual spaces, just hearing from one side. A shared society, having a shared circle, discussing together, this is where the change starts. And I feel like it's really important.
Thanks, Rosita.
Can also share maybe a sentence or two. For me personally, I mean, GHIS the importance of GHIS was reflected through my story. Since I mean you guys, Miss Hannah, Noga, Yuval, and Narit, I mean you all encouraged me to dedicate my journey for the greater good of the people. GHIS at this moment right now, GHIS is more needed than ever. I got to experience unique experiences to break, actually I would call it, to break the norm of being a passive Arab citizen in Israel to an active member in the community, and to dedicate my journey for change in the region, which it's very ironic to say, but I'm still very motivated and I'm still on that journey up even in these tough times right now.
And
Thanks.
maybe one last thing that it reminds, sorry, I'm really sorry. Also one thing that you reminded me about that Miss Carey, our global politics teacher, always said. We were learning about how to create peace, and she, like, ways of peacekeeping and peacemaking. She always said that you can either make peace from the top down or from the bottom up. I think that in Israel's history, we saw a little bit of trying to make it from the top down, but it must happen, I think, from the bottom up, and that's why we're here.
Thanks. Anyone else wants to comment on that?
Questions?
Really, just
Sam.
really quickly, I'm so sorry. I just want to say hope. I think that's why GHIS is important now, because I feel like a lot of people are losing hope, and this is what restored my hope, and I think that it's the same for a lot of my peers. Yeah, that's it.
Anna, would you like to close the discussion? And thank you, Salma.
Sure. I always like to let the kids talk instead of me. But no, I think one of the most important things about being here is that we live and we grow together. And there's no way to build a future together if we don't know each other. So the more time we spend living and growing and learning and fighting over laundry machines and going to the gym and everything else, the easier it's going to be to do the actual hard work when we get those little things out of the way.
Thanks. Dorit?
I think we have time for like 1 or 2 questions before I pass on to Lauren. I have a question here from Ping asking, what in the way that you were brought up enabled your families to decide to allow you to attend GHS? I will just tell Ping and everybody that it doesn't always work that way. Many times it comes from these young people who convince their families and not from the families sending them. And in what ways do you feel that you already changed something back in your families or your communities by attending the school? Anyone?
At least for me. Oh, Noga, you want us to go?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
At least for me, for my close family, I'm an only child, and my mom was very supportive about it. She brought this school up when it was opened, way before I was supposed to get here 4 years ago, and I reconnected with it actually by myself, with my previous teacher offering me to go. And I went for it, for a new experience, for a challenge, academic challenge, and just like, stop being in my comfort zone with the same people all the time, with the same opinions. And it was not easy to talk about it with my family, because my family, my big family, has a lot of opinions, and some of them are very radical. And when I come home, some family members of mine do not understand. They ask me, why? Why do you go to a school where there are Arabs? Why would you want to go to a school with people from like different countries? And I feel like the best answer is just like open my mind. It's so enriching. You can't even explain. It's like a bubble. When you're in GHIS, you experience things you cannot just explain in words. No matter how much I will try to explain to you guys what it feels to be here, I cannot. It's so amazing and eye-opening. And for me, at least, I didn't even think about the Arab society a lot in Israel, because I was so in my bubble, surrounded by Jews, although I lived 2 minutes away from an Arab village. It always was in the background. And now when you actually face it, it's so amazing to see. And not many gets the opportunity of this, including parents and including family members. So for me, I feel like it's really a mission spread this, to tell them, wow, it's possible. I learned with Arab. It's amazing. It's eye-opening. And even just to say that sentence is enough for me.
Maybe one more answer to that question.
I can give one more answer. For me, coming back after the war and everything, I got answers like not only from my family, but like from few friends, like, which side are you on? And because of the experience from GHIS, I was able to explain to them like, this is not about taking sides. This is about people, innocent people, at least, that are dying from both sides, and we should stand on the side of humanity. I was able to push forward the narrative of shared society. I was able to push forward my own experience with both Arabs and Jews and all of that. So I just feel like the experience I got has helped me a lot of ways. Not only that, there are a lot of silly questions about generalizations and stereotypes that I've had here, and because of this opportunity, I was was able to clear that out, just giving my own experience, and just to stop generalizations and like picking sides and all of those kinds of aspects. So I feel like this school has enriched me so much that I'm able to share my perspective and experience with people here, not only my family, but also friends.
Great, thank you both. Neil, I see your question, but actually I will relate to that in my closing notes, and I think Lauren wants to close before me, or do you wanted to talk?
I'm being sexist here, ladies first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Neil is asking, first of all, are there other schools like ours in Israel? So there are international schools and there are IB schools, but there is no school like ours with that specific focus of conflict resolution through the topics we teach, through the different projects we share with our students, through the student body, through the faculty setting. Our student body is 25% Jews from Israel, 25% Arabs from Israel, and the 50% come from all over the world. We have Rashida as the only international here representing, but we have many, many internationals from many countries. And this focus is unique, I think, not only in Israel, I think it's actually unique in the world. And what kind of support we have. So I will allow myself to answer a little bit more than what you answered. The general support of the school and what is needed. So every student in the school costs us $25,000 a year. That includes everything. It includes academics and room and board and extracurricular activities and everything. And we're allowed to charge students from Israel only a certain amount because it is a public school. So students from Israel are paying only $9,000 out of that, and that is their full tuition. International students pay as much as they can, as Figgy said in the beginning, based on their background. I will tell you that everybody in the school is on scholarship at some level, and that is individually checked with our scholarship committee. We have students that get different levels of scholarships up to full scholarships. We know that they will be wonderful leaders of shared society, represent this topic and Israel in the world. And we need them as leaders, and that is why we help them with funding. And with regarding your question about scaling up, so definitely, yes, we're talking about it. We will say we opened the school almost as a startup. We got the approval to open the school in February 2018. We opened it that year. 6 months later, we were a small team, Yuval, who's here, and Claire, who's here, and one more person. And the school opened and in 6 months, everybody in the world told us we're crazy, but it became a fact. We started with one cohort. Soon, the year after, we had 2 cohorts. 2 years after, we had 3 cohorts. And we are at the stage of stabilizing this school financially. And once we do that, we definitely are talking about the next school, and we're talking about having more schools like that. First of all, in Israel, then maybe in the world. I think the staff of GHIS, led by Yuval, have gained so much knowledge in how to build communities that come from opposing narratives and can live together, and definitely taking their experience and sharing it with other schools and other institutions is almost like a demand for the world.
Thank you, Nurit. And I just want to thank Yuval, Hannah, and the students for the time that you spent sharing your observations and your thoughts about this very, very critical time. And Noam, I was so glad to hear that your big family has a lot of opinions too, because I thought mine was the only one. So that gives me hope. But in all seriousness, Noga, Hussein, Salma, Noam, Rosita, you all talked about several key things that came out of this discussion that I was hearing. I heard in particular Salma and several of you actually speak about the fact that acknowledging the pain of this conflict, but also noting that when you came back to GHIS, you found that you could carry that pain and process it together. And another thing that I heard from all of you, specifically Salma, I know you said it gave you hope. And I think I also heard you all say, I side with humanity. I think that one of you suggested that that was cliche, but honestly, that's the first time I've heard that. And I think it's beautiful. And lastly, what I also heard coming from all of you was the idea that this is a transformative experience for you at GHIS, that you burst out of your bubbles in the process of exploring and embracing each other's differences and shared humanity, and that you've come to the conclusion that you are the future. And I think that, you know, Rosita, you said that shared society discussion you've discovered is where the change starts, and you were able to take that perspective back home and share it with others. I think you clearly are representative of a positive transformation for leadership in the future, not just in Israel, but throughout the world. And I think that gives us all hope at a time when we all might perhaps feel a little bit helpless and hopeless watching events as they unfold. One of you also suggested, I think it was Noga, that change comes from the bottom up, that's your observation, that your elected leaders on both sides have at times demonstrated failure, but that there are 160 plus civil society organizations or NGOs in Israel, Palestine, Jordan, working together to build bridges in a variety of ways that can seed peace throughout the Middle East. And I just want to thank everybody here who attended today. Everybody's busy. Everybody has lots of demands on their time. And we're really grateful that you chose to spend this time with us. And for those of you who do have the resources to share, I believe we've sent you a link. Is there a link embedded in here?
Yes, in the chat.
In the chat. I'm not seeing it, but I'm hoping that others are. Please, to the extent that you feel the desire to do so and have the ability to do so, I know that GHIS would appreciate your support. And for those of you who are a little bit more challenged financially, just know that your presence here today in support of the GHI mission means the world to us, and that's a gift in itself. So on that note, I think we just, I personally want to thank you, Nurit, and Yuval, Hannah, for your leadership as, on behalf of the students and your guidance. Yuval, I thought those questions were just spot on. And for Noga, Hussein, Salma, Noam, Rasida, you just keep doing what you're doing. You're giving us all hope. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. And now I'm supposed to speak after that. Thank you all. And I will say that we love building friendships with our supporters and with people who listen to our students and who want to stay in touch. So you all came through connections with Fabian and Moshe and Lauren, but we will be happy to stay in touch. So anyone who is interested, we are very kind and polite, but once in a while we like to send updates or invite you to hear more students, and we will be very happy to have you with us. And anyone who can help, and then again, we're very happy to discuss it. If people want to hear, we're happy to connect you to certain students that you're supporting. And we thank you for being here with us. It helps to share it, especially at times like this. And that's probably always true. And thank you, Yuval. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Claire. And thank you, dear, dear, wonderful students and graduates.
So, Nurit, just one sentence, Moshe. Thank you all. I was logistically involved in the beginning and now emotionally unable to talk much. But I want to leave again the sentence that talked to me a lot, which hopefully you can understand better now. Pessimism is of the mind, and optimism is of the will. Thank you, guys.